Hello everyone and welcome to week 12 of Exploring Your Future. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe in the midst of all the chaos and craziness surrounding the whole global pandemic currently. Before I jump into the material for this week's class, I wanted to check in with you regarding registration for the upcoming semester. Hopefully by now you've registered for classes, but if you're running into any difficulty with course selection for fall 2020, please let your advisor know this as soon as possible. You can also contact our Office of Academic Advising at advising@cedarcrest.edu, and of course you can always contact me with any questions. I'm more than happy to help out and point you in the right direction if it's not something that I specifically know. So the topic for this week's class is networking. This lesson originally consisted mainly of in-class exercises to practice your networking skills, but since we are having to do this online, I'm having to switch things up a little bit. So instead, I will start with reviewing the information on this PowerPoint, then I have a couple of videos for you to watch, followed by another discussion board post that will count for attendance points this week. At this point, you might be asking yourself, networking, why do I need to learn this now? Isn't this something for seniors who are graduating this year or for people who have already started their careers? Networking has become somewhat of a buzzword and often brings to mind things like attending conferences and other networking events, handing out business cards, asking for references, and so on. And yes, these are all steps that you'll probably need to take in the future when you're looking for a full-time job after graduation. However, I'd like to challenge you to think beyond that and to think about how networking applies to your life as a current college student and the opportunities you have for networking in your everyday life without even realizing it. So what is networking? Networking is a chance to exchange your experience, interests, and information with others. Networking happens all the time in just about any setting that involves some type of social interaction. This could be at work, in class, at family gatherings, during on-campus events, or even at the store. The key is to use these opportunities to meet people and make connections. This way you can start to build your network now in the settings and places that are already a part of your daily life so that you can utilize those connections in the future. So think, for example, about maybe one of your classes here at Cedar Crest that's related to your major. Well, at least before we went on quarantine and everything went online. If you can kind of think about your in-class meetings, and think about the other students in that class who also either share your major or are interested in a similar career path, or even just have a similar, non-work related thing that they're interested in. You might not know them very well, but maybe you have some casual conversation with one of your classmates, or maybe you work with them on a group project or an assignment. These types of interactions can and do build connections that can lead to opportunities in the future. I can think of plenty of examples of this in my own life, like the time that one of my old classmates from college contacted me because she was interested in applying to a company that I was working for at the time. I was able to give her some tips and some inside information, and she ended up getting the job offer. As another example, my fiance landed his first major job after graduation by contacting one of his old classmates who worked for the company to gain some insight. Now, this wasn't necessarily someone he was close with or friends with necessarily, but he did know this person through casual interactions in class well enough that he felt comfortable reaching out on LinkedIn, and she wound up being a really big help. Through networking, you can also establish mentoring relationships with professionals that are established in the field and exchange conversations about your interests and experiences. You might do this by building relationships with your professors, other faculty or staff members here at Cedar Crest, alumni, with current professionals through internships, and there are numerous opportunities if you really think about it. Just keep in mind that networking is a two-way street, and while you're able to gain some insight into careers with your networking relationships, you will also continue to share information with them. Helping others in your field is an important aspect of networking, especially as you gain more experience. So, keeping that in mind, and keeping in mind what networking is sort of all about, how do you network? How do you effectively build connections with others? At a basic level, it's all about learning about other people, finding links that you have with them. Maybe you're from the same hometown or are fans of the same sports team. Maybe you've both traveled to the same destination or have the same hobby. Your commonalities can be work-related, or they can be related to your personal interest outside of work or school. So a couple of basics when it comes to networking. You need to learn how to do a proper handshake. This is especially important if you're attending conferences or networking events, for job fairs, and of course during interviews as well. You want your handshake to be firm, though not too firm, confident, and brief. The next part of this lesson will be to watch a brief video on how to shake hands properly, which I will provide along with the other lesson materials. In addition to learning a proper handshake, know how to introduce yourself. You want the people in your network to remember your name and some basic details about who you are. You can even practice a brief introduction that includes your name, major, or area of interest, and other key details that you'd like to include. This way you won't feel put on the spot when you're meeting someone new. Of course, smiling and maintaining eye contact are important to make a good impression. You want to come off friendly and approachable so people feel comfortable talking to you. Okay, so there you have networking in a nutshell. I hope you found this information useful. Next, please watch both YouTube videos for this lesson and respond to the discussion board to get attendance points for this week. I look forward to reading your responses.